right, guys, this is Crazy Kev here, and I'm here with my man Mitch Ramirez. Mitch, how we doing, my man?
Doing great, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man, no problem at all. And Mitch, man, you got a fight coming up with Mike Davis. I mean, talk to us a little bit more about that matchup and how you're kind of feeling going into this one.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm always down for a fight, man. I never say no, and I think Mike Davis is a guy stylistically that me and him are going to get out there and get after it pretty early. So I like fights that are fan friendly. That's my job, is to entertain. So I love having a guy across the cage for me that I was going to bring it as well. So I'm ready to go.
Yeah, no, that's definitely going to be a fun one, no doubt about it, man. And Mike Davis mentioned in an interview he thought it was kind of short notice for him. I mean, did you hear about this matchup? I mean, talk us a bit more about kind of your process getting this fight offered to you.
Yeah, so it was definitely short. I think short notice for both of us. I had been looking to fight on this date, kind of known about this date for maybe about a few weeks before getting the Mike Davis opponent. They'd kind of thrown a couple names at me. I just was saying yes, and one guy got hurt, and then it was like, oh, you don't have a fight, you do have a fight, you don't have a fight, you do have a fight, kind of this back and forth, which happens, right? And then probably like 2 weeks ago, I got noticed that, hey, we're going to throw one last Hail Mary out there. Let's see if Mike Davis will do it. And I was like, oh, I knew it was kind of short notice. So I was like, not holding any expectations. I know how it goes, but hoping he would, because I just really want to fight, man. I've been dealing with injuries and stuff for a while, and I've been rearing to go. So, yeah, I was super excited when I heard that he took it. So, yeah, definitely a little short of notice, I think, for both of us. But, hey, fair play. Let's go.
Yeah, man, and definitely, it's definitely going to be an exciting one for sure, man. And now, when it comes to Mike Davis, I mean, talk to us a bit more about it. Have you been watching any film on Mike Davis? I mean, what do you kind of think about his fight style and how you're going to kind of try to expose his game here?
Yeah, man. I've seen him fight multiple times. We have mutual friends and training partners. So the MMA community is small, and even amongst the lightweights, man. Like I know so many of these guys. So at some point you're gonna fight a buddy or a buddy of a buddy. It's inevitable. So like I said, he's fought a few people I know. He's trained some people I know. I've seen his fights in real time. I've gone back and rewatched some of his fights. I think he's well rounded. I think he does a lot of stuff pretty well. He's tough. He doesn't give up. So I think that I'm better though, to be honest with you. I think that in all these things that I will be able to edge him out. I think that when it gets nasty and it gets gritty, I think we both are guys that don't give in, and it's just going to be a war of attrition at a certain point. So I've been training super hard. I'm in the best shape of my life. And, I train up here at 7,000 feet in these mountains. So going down to sea level in Nashville, Tennessee should be nice. So I'm going to go down there, man, and I'm just going to leave it all in the cage like I do every single time and give the people what they want.
Yeah. Now you mentioned training at that 7,000 sea level. I mean, how do you think that's kind of helped your game kind of improve?
It's just made me, the biggest thing for me was, over these last few years, I was just my cardio was my biggest Achilles heel, and I hit it pretty well. I had a heart condition that was causing me problems for my whole life essentially, but it progressed over the last 5 years, and it started to become a real problem with me being able to maintain, fitness, being able to maintain weight, being able to even train hard enough to get in a fight. And you saw that in and both of my losses, to be honest with you, especially my last one against Tiago, was really sick in that fight and in the lead up to that fight. Since then, I've taken the time off. I've healed from some old injuries, as well as I've had a corrective surgery on my heart that fixed the problem, so we no longer have that issue. And up in these mountains, man, when you're ripping pads and wrestling guys in the mountains of Park City, and you're doing that for 5 on 5 on 5 on 5 on 5, it builds confidence. So more than anything, I just have my confidence back finally. I really couldn't trust my body for many years, and still managed to knock a lot of these guys out, and still managed to beat a lot of these guys and get my UFC contract. But the game's going to be different now, and you guys are going to see a different element come out of me that you guys have never probably ever seen before. Unless you know me really well and you knew me many years ago. So I'm excited to go show it.
Yeah, no, and yeah, we're looking forward to seeing it for sure, man. And now you mentioned a little bit about kind of your body not holding up to a couple of things. With one of your last fights, you kind of had like a toe injury, and then you kind of had to get surgery for that. I mean, talk to us a bit more about what kind of happened with that injury.
Yeah, that was super frustrating. So, after getting cleared and everything, and getting my internal system rocking and rolling, I was starting to feel pretty good. UFC offered me a fight for April, and I said yes, of course. It was supposed to be April 26th. And as we're getting into camp, I think we were maybe 6 or 7 weeks out, and I'm just starting to I'm starting to get in shape. We're starting to ramp it up real hard. And I just threw a kick in practice, man. I was sparring with one of my sparring partners. I threw a kick. He elbow blocked, and it just was kind of the perfect impact. And it broke my pinky toe on my left foot, but broke it in a way that totally displaced the bone. And it essentially, even I went to 4 different specialists. We did everything. We x-rayed it every which way you could possibly x-ray it. We tried to tape it and re-x-ray it. We tried to like manipulate it and re-x-ray it. And the closest we could get the bones to touching was like 0.5 centimeter. So essentially the word that I got from finally, I went to 2 different I went to a doctor, 2 orthopedics, and then finally a podiatrist surgeon. And it was finally when I went to the final expert, and he was like, listen, if you don't fix this, one of 2 things is going to happen. It's either going to get infected while you're getting ready for this fight, or have some sort of complication, and you're going to have to probably pull out of this fight anyway. It's the way the bone broke and the way it's sitting and the placement of it. Like you either lose the toe potentially, or you try to make this fight happen, cause yourself a real problem, and then you pull out of this fight anyway. So I sat down and had a conversation with my team and my management. I really wanted to stay in the fight and just tough it out and hopefully it heals kind of thing. But they, with the long layoff and everything, they didn't want to do that. Nobody around me wanted me to do that. So once I got word that I needed surgery, then we just called the UFC and told them, hey, look, I'm going into surgery next week. I'm not going to be cleared to be back on the mat until probably, I think I got cleared to go back to practice on like April 15th. Right. So, but ever since then, I've not missed a day on the mat. Right. I've been training and even while a foot was broken, man, I was in there lifting, I'm riding the bike, I'm doing everything I can on my little boot. Surgeon did a great job, threw a plate and some screws on it. Now that thing's bulletproof and not going to happen again. And I just been pushing myself. I took that as like a blessing, like, okay, maybe my body needed a little bit more time to regulate from that last year. And honestly, it's been a blessing because the shape I would have been in that fight is not going to be like the shape I'm going to be in this fight, So that's really where, I guess I'm just grateful, have a little bit of gratitude. Sometimes things happen that you don't want to happen, but they end up working out for the best. So I know that, going into this one, I got my best chance to go out there and put on a good show and show everybody what I'm about. So that's what I'm going to go do.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to your upcoming training, I mean, you've been talking to us about how you haven't missed the gym. I mean, talk to us a little bit more about your training partners. I mean, who's kind of helping you be the best version of you for this upcoming fight?
Man, I got a good little squad out here, man, over at Agima Jiu-Jitsu and MMA, and then I also go up to Rise Boxing. So Agima Jiu-Jitsu is ran by my 2 close friends, Dane Aristizabal and Court McGee. I'm sure you know who Court McGee is. He's been a longtime mentor, coach, and training partner of mine. So he just fought Chiesa, so he's been in camp. So been in the gym and hit with him quite a bit. And then there's some other tough up-and-comers coming out of Utah. A lot of people don't know this, but they will soon. There's a lot of really good wrestlers in Utah, and over the last 10 years, it's only gotten better. So as of right now on the mat, we've probably got like 3 or 4 All-Americans and 5-year D1 guys and U23 world team guys and things like that are constantly kind of coming in, and they're starting to want to fight, and they're always on the mat rolling. So the wrestling in the room is really high. The jiu-jitsu is really high. Dane's a high-level black belt under Pedro Sauer, has been for many years. Ran the pit for John Hackelman for several years. Was also a professional fighter for many years. And just a really brilliant mind. He's the founder of Agima Jiu-Jitsu, and he's been my jiu-jitsu coach since probably 2018, as well as one of my MMA coaches for several of my early fights in my pro career, anytime I've been here. So there's a whole gaggle of young up-and-comers, like hungry amateur champions and hungry young pros over there that you might have not heard of yet. But I'm telling you, man, I've lived in Las Vegas. I lived in Vegas for 3 years. I trained at a syndicate in the PI every single day, and there's guys in here that are giving me hell, just like any one of these guys that you've heard of. So I'm looking forward to not only, going out there and doing my thing, but representing all of us, because, one of the reasons I came back to Utah is because I want more eyes on these guys. I want to help these guys get to that level that I've achieved and that Court, has achieved with these UFC contracts that are just so far and few between in this community because there's just a few little things missing. But on top of that, then my striking coach, Marco Sanchez, he's a great dude, man. He's my pad man, one of my main sparring partners. He's a pro as well. Trained under Tyler Wombles out there in California for many years, and at King's MMA, stuff like that. So he's really versed in a lot of striking techniques. Good. Came up under Raymond Daniels, so he's got he's got all that cool stuff. He basically a very wide array of striking, and he can really help me enhance my ability to use my athleticism and my power to get in there and put guys out. So, long story short, man, I've got a handful of the best guys in the world that are committed to me, that wake up every day and text me and say, how are you feeling? What are we doing? Okay, let's go. Hey, look, I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about that. Let's talk about this. I'm getting paragraphs in my email breaking guys down. And this is real professional sports here. We're really going in on this one in a way that I've never even done in any fight in any one of my careers. So I've got everything around me. I've got people that love me. And really, at the end of the day, win, lose, or draw, that's what's important to me. So, yep.
Yeah, no, that's definitely important for sure to have a great team around you, no doubt about it. And now, with you mentioning Court McGee, I mean, what is it kind of like to be around someone like Court McGee, who kind of had some adversity as well, kind of early on in his journey, just like kind of you had? I mean, talk us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, man. Court's one of my best friends, man. And I have a similar story to Court. Court, went through a lot, as a young man, and I went through a lot of the same similar stuff. Honestly, I knew Court when I was in high school, and then when I got out of rehab when I was 19, he came and did a speaking engagement at at the rehab facility that I was staying at, because I was an IV heroin addict, and I was trying to get clean. And he was the guy, and that was the guy who I looked at as like, man, maybe if he could do it, I can do it. If he overcame all this, maybe I can still do this. And I had a lot of struggles still since. I ended up going to prison about a year later. I spent 3.5 years in there. But that was kind of what was my final straw. Just like, I don't, you got to change, man. You got to do something different here, because this lifestyle isn't one I want to live anymore. So Court was a guy who, I mean, the day I got out, I ran into him, and he was the one that was like, you're going to this gym, I'll meet you there. This day we're doing this day we're doing this. And ever since then, man, this was in 2016, and Court has just kind of taken me under his wing, man, and done nothing but help me, whether it's the weight cut, whether it's the mental, whatever. I mean, even in the gym these last weeks, man, he's put me through gnarly conditioning. He's, doing all this stuff. He's talking to me in a way that nobody can really talk to me, which is really special, and I'm grateful for it. So, a guy like him who's had so many UFC fights, I think that was his 28th UFC fight. He's been in the UFC since he won the Ultimate Fighter, I think in 2010 or 2011. This guy is, he's had some ups and downs in his career, but man, to maintain a UFC contract for that long is so difficult and insane. It kind of just is mind boggling. All these guys that have like 20 plus UFC fights are just crazy. You know what I mean? to maintain that level of discipline and that level of competitiveness and skill for that long. So, seeing him go through a lot of his stuff too, man, has really inspired me and continues to, and kind of keeps me moving, man. Helps me not just, and it's not just about fighting too. He's a guy who's helped me a lot in my life and continues to. So, being around a guy like him, man, I can't put into words how much it does for me on a base human level, let alone as a professional fighter.
Yeah, no, that's definitely awesome to hear that about Court McGee. It seems like everybody has a lot of good things to say about him. And now you mentioned with Court McGee, he obviously says a lot of good things towards you. But I mean, what's maybe some of the best advice he might have gave you, maybe during this camp, or maybe just in general, you can think of?
Don't take yourself so serious.
Okay, I like it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's days, man. I mean, it's like, some days you wake up with a gun in your face. The first thing you think about is the fight or the this or the that or the weight or the, you know what I mean? And you start like, it's easy to fall into these like stress loops a little bit, where you're just like obsessing about things you can't control. You're thinking about stuff that, isn't serving you. So, one of his favorite things to say is, hey man, just don't take yourself so seriously. It's not that big of a deal. The fight's not today. Today is whatever day it is, right? Today's June 28th. The fight's not till July 12th. You know what I mean? So like today, all you got to do is do your job. Do what you're supposed to do. Come to this practice, do what I tell you to. Go to that practice, do what you're supposed to do. That's it. Make the food, eat it. So he just really helps me keep it simple. And I think that, for a guy like him and long-term sobriety and all that kind of stuff, I think that that's what you like, that's like that's the superpower. You know what I mean? Like guys who have changed their life, in the way he has, and honestly in the way I have as well, really know how to dumb things down, and make them simple. So that's what I'd say. One of my favorite things about Court is he's very good at just dumbing it down and being like, pull that veil off and see this for what it is. Let's go. Calm down. You're right. Okay, let's go.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's definitely some pretty good advice for sure, man. And that's
Yeah.
definitely some cool stuff with Court. And now getting into last night, man, with the UFC. I mean, talk to us a bit more about that Charles Oliveira, Ilya Topuria fight, man. What did you kind of think about that one?
Man, that was one that I thought it might go that way. I thought it might go a little longer than that, to be honest with you. I didn't think it would maybe happen that early, but I can't say I'm surprised, man. The way Ilya has put, the guys he's put out now, I mean, Volk, Max, Charles, like I've never, I never hate on a man for his success in my weight class, outside of a weight class. It's just not my style. I don't need to like hate on another man to elevate myself. You know, what I do is what I do, and what he does is what he does. And I can appreciate that skill, man. That guy is dangerous, very dangerous. He knows how to use his attributes. And he's so confident, man. He does not hesitate. And I think that in fighting, that is more important than most people think. You know, trusting yourself and biting down when it's time to bite down is something that Elia does better than anybody at this moment in time. And, you know, Charles is Charles, man. And I was, you know, dang, you know, I'll say this, man. There was a couple fights last night where guys landed extra shots that were super unnecessary. You know what I mean? And I think that's other than that, you know, I mean, I think it was great, but I think that I've knocked several guys out in my career too, man, but I show restraint. You know what I mean? When I see guys' eyes open and he's blowing bubbles, I don't hit him again, you know? And I think that, and everybody's saying, oh, it's your job. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you go until the ref stops, but it's like, okay, well, when you're on your back one day unconscious and somebody spikes your face off the mat again unnecessarily, then I hope you keep the same energy, because as we saw Jack Hermanson lay there for 3 minutes yesterday, there was a lot of people. I saw people's mouths in the crowd being like, "That's scary." You know what I mean? And like, and don't be wrong, like no hate on either of the guys that landed the extra shots. Like I know, dude, it's intense. You're fighting for your life out there essentially. But you know, I would think that at the highest level, you know, a man with that much fortitude and that much mental discipline would know when to walk off, is what I'll say about that. But other than that, man, beautiful performance. And I know Charles will bounce back. He always does. I've always been a huge fan of his. Once again, huge fan of Taporia. No knock on him or Rodriguez for the extra shot. I know it happens. But yeah, man, I think that fighting is a pretty brutal sport, man. And moments like that make you, you know, hug your family a little bit more and maybe say an extra prayer before you walk in there, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. I definitely know what you're talking about when it comes to those brutal shots. That was definitely hard to watch. But
Yeah.
yeah, you know, another thing I was curious about, you know, obviously with your Mike Davis fight, you know, it's kind of midway through the year. I mean, how active do you kind of want to be in 2025? Do you want to kind of get back in there later after this fight?
Yeah, man, I would love to try to get at least one and even two more. My goal was to fight April and then here like July, August, and then again by the end of the year. April didn't work out, right? So now we're in July. Gonna fight this one, and I definitely want another one by the end of the year. I would love to get one like maybe like early fall, September-ish, and then maybe get another one in like November-ish, you know. But once again, holiday seasons are weird. You don't get to choose your dates. So all I'm gonna do is go out there and win, and, you know, go out there and win quick and feel good. Maybe do one quicker than September. But I absolutely want to stay active. You know, my goal all this year has been to fight through this contract by early 2026, right? So got 3 left on my contract, and I want to be established in that cage by the time this next year comes around with some good wins and, you know, a little bit of a different situation. So that's what I'm working hard for every day.
Yeah, no, that's definitely awesome to hear, and that's definitely a good mindset for sure. But you know, obviously, you know, you're a beast and whatnot in the cage. But what do you kind of like to do outside the cage when you're not in there training and fighting?
Man, I'm an outdoorsman. One of the reasons I came back to Utah is I mean, it's like such a big part of me that like living in a place like Vegas is just not good for my mental health. I don't like being inside. I don't like, you know, if I don't have to be. I think a part of it is just growing up, dude. I was just always in trouble. I was always locked up. Whether even before prison as a young man, it was boys' homes and detention centers and work camps and everything in between. You know, I was always locked up essentially. I was always like in a spot where I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And I think because of that, as well as just I grew up in these mountains out here, that it is such a big part of me to go outside and to just be in nature essentially. You know, I love to fish. I love to mountain bike. I love, you know, riding my e-bike on these trails. I love hiking. I love swimming in these, you know, natural bodies of water. I love camping. Anything to do outside, man, I'm in, dude. If we're gonna go outside, the sun's shining, the answer is usually gonna be yes for me. So that's most of what I do. Outside of that, I love history, you know, geopolitics and stuff like that. I'm always reading a book or listening to a book or an article or something, trying to see what's going on in the world and, you know, trying to understand other people that aren't like me. You know, I think that human beings are very varied and different, but at a certain point, we're all the same. And the more I learn and the more I, you know, learn about the past and the present, the more I can predict on the future and make good decisions for me and my family and those around me. So those are some of the things I enjoy in my spare time.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. That's definitely some pretty cool stuff that you like to do outside the cage for sure, man. And Mitch, it's been awesome having you on the show, man. I really appreciate you coming on and talking with me. I mean, what's maybe your final message out there for the fans watching this video?
I just want to say, to all my fans, everybody that supports me, thank you guys so much. This really means the world to me. I'm living my dream, and know that every time I go out there, man, it's kill or be killed. I don't go out there to bore you guys. I don't go out there to just get a win. I'm always going to go out there and I'm going to try to do my job in the most exciting way possible. So July 12th, don't blink. It's going to be one hell of a fight, and I'm excited to go on there and put another one out there for you guys.
Let's go. And yeah, July 12th, it's going to be an awesome one. And we're looking forward to seeing this matchup. And again, man, thank you so much for taking the time, my man.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Kevin.